I should be. I'm a legend in my own mind, no doubt. You know, I get to talk about two things today. I love to talk about. Y'all can help me celebrate. I've been with EXP for 1 year. I don't know whether it was blind, dumb luck, but it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. I should have come sooner, but I was too stubborn. I didn't want to pay RE/MAX the outrageous fee that they wanted me to pay to break their contract. So, but anyway, it was a good one. So I get to talk about listings, which is one of my favorite things in real estate. And I realize that there is a lot of ways that you can earn really excellent money in our business. And I know you've probably figured that out. There's some people that I know that I've worked with. Renee Hillman's a great example. Renee works, I believe, mostly on referrals only. I believe probably, I'm going to say 85% of her business is on referrals only. And she's done a tremendous job with that. But I was a rabbit when I got into this business, and I couldn't wait to build up the referrals. So I had to figure out a way to do that. And it became obvious to me that I needed a way for people to call me in addition to calling them. So I got interested in listings. But just before I get into that, I just want to tell you that some things I was reading recently that I thought were interesting to our industry is that, are you aware that 85% of the buyers out there that are looking for homes go on Zillow? 85%. Now, I don't think that's a really great sign for our industry. I think that we gave them the war chest to become this monster that they are. And now they are actually in Zillow offers, which is the iBuying craze, which is, make no mistake, it's to cut out the realtors and to get our commission. They are not for us, even though they told us for years and years that we could be their partners. Now they're calling us something else. Nicole, you mentioned it to me. Nicole, are you in the room? She didn't. Well, they're calling us something else besides realtors. I think they're calling us guides or something on their website. So it's kind of interesting to see them and how they've diverted the relationship between the online buyer to the portal instead of the relationship between the online buyer and the agent. And that's what they're in business to do. And they've done a really good job of it. So I just think that's simple. We've got a website we call ComingSoonHomes, and our website is really simple. What I wanted to do is enhance the relationship and do something really drastic in the industry. I wanted, with ComingSoonHomes, I wanted to sell the house for the highest amount of money. And that may not sound drastic to you, but when I tell you that Zillow's interest really is getting that relationship with the buyer, and I'm telling you that ComingSoonHomes is there to get the seller the highest amount of money for their house. And I'll unfold that and unpack that and tell you about that. But I want them to have an excellent search experience. I also want to take the home directly to the buyer. See, online doesn't do that. MLS doesn't do that. MLS is a conglomerate of a lot of information. There's a lot of things on the internet, but it doesn't focus in taking the buyer directly to the home. And that's what I wanted to do with ComingSoonHomes. But let's talk about listings. And the first reason that I decided to focus on listings, y'all may not believe this, but I used to sell houses for a living. I actually did. And I sold houses, and the only criteria I had was to get with a buyer that would stick with me and have loyalty to me, because I didn't want, you know, the shaky kind that was like looking with one agent this week and another agent that week. So that was really my only criteria. But then as time went by, I just started thinking about it. Of course, I had 3 kids to raise, and I was in my 20s, and I needed an income. And I always say, I had a 9th grade education because I graduated from high school in West Virginia, and that's the equivalent of a 9th grade education. So I didn't have very many options. I thought it was maybe welfare, or maybe I better needed to give something that could give a high income. So I got into real estate, and it attracted me, and I have never looked back. It's been really, really good for me. This is a great career. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of ways you can do this. But what I decided was, after years of taking around buyers and having the kids, you know, in the car with me when I was showing to them and everything. And honestly, building that relationship, which you do build the relationship when you work with buyers. I just really looked at the time equivalent of selling a buyer and getting a listing and selling the listing. And it came down to the point, it took me a shorter amount of time to list a home and sell a home than it did sometimes to show relocation buyers and even buyers that were in town. So it was really just a time for value. My time is worth something. Where is my time better spent? Where can I earn more money per hour? And for me, it turned out to be in listings. And also, I thought about real estate at a very early age as a business, not just a career. You know, I've had the good fortune to work with great agents who had great marriages. I didn't have one at that age, and there were supplementary income. So they had the good fortune of really just thinking about it as a kind of a 9-to-5 job and being the second income. I didn't have that opportunity. I needed a business. And I've had people that looked at it as a job and even looked at it as a career, but I wanted a business. And I know some elementary things that I know when you open a business, it costs money. But in real estate, you could actually fill your store and open your business and put millions and millions of dollars worth of inventory on the shelf by listing property. So it just made sense to me. I said, you know, if I get all the listings, they got to do business with me. Even if they don't like me, they got to do business with me. And I really felt like that I would earn more money if I learned how to get my inventory up. So let me tell you, from a very early time, I was very concerned about the amount of listings that my team carried. And I was probably one of the first agents in this town to even have a team. Teams weren't the thing when I got into real estate, but I got an assistant. My assistant became a very successful realtor. I can tell you her name, but her name is Janice Rosenberg, and she was excellent. And she worked with me when her children were in school in the morning. She worked from like 9 to 1 or 2. And she said she felt really sorry for me getting a check from me when I would pay her, because I would have to pay her out of my credit line. And so she felt guilty, but not too guilty to take the money, by the way, but she did it. So that's the way I wanted to build the business. And I really have had a few mentors, but very few. And so I've looked at people across the country, and I kind of wanted to see who was really successful. And there's a couple of people, you know, I've been following Mike Ferry before he was as popular as he is today. And Mike Ferry, I went out to see him in California in the 90s. And I put this sign on my door, and he said, Mike Ferry, if you know the individual, is very emphatic. He says things matter of fact. His word is the law. It's kind of like my husband. But other than that, he had this statement. He said, the money in real estate for individuals or small teams or for a company is all about listings, period. It's really, if you're into money. And by the way, let me tell you something. I have a relationship with money, but I don't believe in financial security. Your security in life comes from something much higher than finances. But I do believe in financial responsibility. And I believe you were given this benefit of being in this great career, of waking up this morning in America with all of its challenges in a way that you can actually have a business as an entrepreneur and develop it into as big as you want to. It's your own limitations that will stop you from going as far as you want to. The second statement I really liked, and I've always had this thing about, why are all the big team leaders men in this industry? If you look across the United States, there's got to be like 90% of them are men. What is up with that? You know, we women are decent too. We can lead a team. But one of the team leaders that I really liked, his name was Tim Hagel. And he said, if you're building a team, there is one thing that you should be focused on, and that is obtaining listings. Your key metric is the number of listings taken per month. Anything outside of that is a distraction. That is a strong, strong statement. But I believe that to be true. So you've got to be focused on listings. You know, I was just thinking about as short as, how many of you think 10 years is a long time? The young people ought to be raising their hand right now. 10 years is not really that long of a time. 10 years ago, we were in a recession in our area. And the average listings that I was carrying at that point in time was somewhere around 120 to 150 listings. The shoe is on the other foot now. But it was not unusual at that point in time for buyers agents to be lamenting that they were showing buyers, I heard outrageous numbers, 100 homes, just crazy, crazy stuff. So, you know, that's a different time now. Now the pain in this business is actually for the buyer because they've got to make these outrageous offers. But no matter where the pain is, no matter where the market is, if you have the listings, you have a business. You have something that you could build on. So you might ask, well, where do I get these listings, Marty? Well, I was really good at the for sale by owner market. I was not shy about calling people. I actually made it part of my daily schedule. Some of you I've talked to that are very successful in this room actually call your past clients. I'm not sure I ever did call mine. But I did want new money. I was chasing the rabbit. I needed a check right now. I didn't need one next week, next month. I needed now business. And so I was on the phone every single day. Even when we moved to 209 West Millbrook, I was on the phone looking for listings. Now Mike Ferry wrote a plan. I think it was about last year that I got it. 60 ways to get a listing. If you email Kathy, starting with a C, at martihampton.com, I'll send you the digital copy of 60 ways to get a listing. You know them all. It's not a mystery. What the mystery is getting you to do the calls that it will take to focus on the listings, because your focus has to be laser beam. When I went to work every day, it was about, how am I going to find somebody that wants to sell their house today? I need to find somebody that wants to sell their house today, because I knew that would start a motion, that would start the wheel going in action, and that I would get other calls from buyers. And once in a while, I might work with those buyers, but most of the time, I had a team in place, a team member in place to give that buyer to. So email Kathy with a C at martihampton.com, and I will digitally send you 60 ways you can get a listing. And your challenge will be to actually execute, because you know what's happened in our industry. There's industries, sub-industries all over that are making a living off of the realtors in this business. There's, what is it, 1.5 million of us across the United States. Average agent sells 8 homes per year. Not overly pleasant, but in order to get a listing, you've got to focus on listings. And I really focus on that. And I challenge you to focus on that. If you want to build a team, if you want to increase your income, and you know, increasing your income for just money's sake is really not a vision. You got to have something better than that. I did it a lot for family. Maybe you do it for the same reason, but maybe you don't have a big family to support. Maybe you do it for something else. There's a reason that you need to take advantage of your talents in this industry to the maximum and not get complacent about where you are, because you can do more than you ever dreamed possible in this industry. So in order to get a listing, this is not breaking news, but in order to get a listing, they've got to like you and they've got to trust you. That's really, you know, one of the first two things. I mean, there's, how do you get people to like you? How do you make that happen? And I can tell you, I've had it not happen a couple of times, but as you become able to relate to more people, and as you go through the process of learning this business, you will relate to more people. You'll be a little bit more of a chameleon to the people that you meet. So how do you get people to like you? Well, I think you're a receptive person. You're a warm person. You got a warm smile. You're friendly. You know, I was that. You don't have to go to college to be friendly. I was friendly. And you have to be 100% in the moment for when you're with that person. Have any of you got a spouse or a significant other that really gets mad with you when you look at your phone when you're supposed to be talking to them? No, it doesn't have to go to me. Put down the phone is what Marvin is saying. Don't do that. I mean, you're just very mad. So anyway, don't be messing with your phone. Actually, turn off your phone. See, some agents are so, what do you call it? I mean, they think they look big if their phone rings. And then they can talk, oh, no, I'm doing this deal. No, don't do that. Focus on the person that you're with and be 100% in that moment. Let's talk about the agents that people don't like. I don't think people like agents that are condescending, who thinks, because honestly, we're not like dentists. I don't know the dentistry business, but everybody thinks they know your business. Everybody thinks they know your business. So you have to have something that makes them want to hear from you. And I'll tell you how to do that in a minute, but they want honest agents. They don't want somebody that's going to talk down to them. And it's really hard. If you've got somebody whose house is worth $350,000 and they want to put it on the market for $500,000, it's hard to have that conversation, isn't it? But that's a conversation you've got to have with bedside manner that tells them the truth, and they still like you at the end of that truth game. At the end of the time that you're brutally honest with them, they still got to like you. And so I say you do that by developing your bedside manner. And, I just want to talk a little bit about the line between confidence and humility. It's an honor for somebody to call me out to look at their home. I feel very impressed when they do that. It's an honor when I'm solicited to go out to their home. But if you're overconfident, what would that look like to y'all? Have you ever seen an agent you thought maybe was just a little bit too? Yeah, I've met a few bulldogs in my age, and they weren't pleasant. They weren't pleasant to do a deal with, but they did get business, because somebody will do business, but I just don't think that's the long game. I don't think that's what you need to do. This business is a blessing. It's a blessing to be in this business, and you need to be a blessing to the people that you're going to go list their home. So I'm going to give you the really magic sauce about why I was so successful in listing homes. And that magic sauce is I learned listening skills. And the main skill that you need to know in real estate is how to listen extremely well. I'll tell you the whole process, but I want to tell you that when you go out and meet a couple, that couple, the wife hasn't listened to the husband intently, maybe in years. I don't know how long. But when you look them in the eye and when you really focus on what they're saying, and you try to hear what's behind them, listening is the secret sauce of this business. And you got to be really good at it. So it's hard to listen. I don't want to run the show. I've told you about this before. I played a little game. I was very quiet. I go up to the door and I said, Elizabeth, thank you so much. You and your husband have invited me to your home today. Thank you for inviting me to your home. Would you take a few minutes and show me through your home and sell it to me? Tell me everything you think is important about this home. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to put my things down at the kitchen table so I can take notes as we go through it. Will you do that for me?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I'm taking my stuff, I'm putting it at the kitchen table, I'm going back to the front door, and then I played a game, and it was the quiet game. And who was the person being quiet? Me. And this didn't mean I was quiet in a way that wasn't receptive. This didn't mean I was quiet in a way that wasn't listening to them. I was listening to them with every body part, with my eyes, with everything. I was into what they were saying. I was trying to listen. I was taking notes. I was taking notes on literally everything. But sometimes they want you to have a conversation before you get to that kitchen table. And I just was not willing to do that. And so I learned how to say, if they forced me into speaking, I'd smile. And I say, oh, and they'd show me the garage that had been finished by them and their buddies while they were drinking a 6-pack. And I'd say, yeah. And if they forced me into saying something, I'd say, nice. Good. And I would always say something kind of positive before you got back to the kitchen table. And that would be, I can sell this house. This is an awesome house. They want to hear something positive from you, but you don't have to wax eloquently for a half an hour. All right. So you're back at the kitchen table. You've been listening intently. I want to talk to you a little bit about, before I got a little bit ahead of myself. I should have changed that. Before you get to the listing, there's some pre-listing touches that I think you should make if you want to get really exceptional listings. We use something called the green sheet. I wish I had one in front of me. The green sheet is basically a page and a half of notes about the house, and it's got the basics, and you know, how many bedrooms, how many baths. Actually, if you email Kathy, she'll send you a green sheet. Now you can get it later, you can bring it later. But and it basically asks them a whole bunch of questions like, where are you moving to? When would you like to be there? What's the most important thing about this move? It's just asks a lot of questions. And then it asks some tough questions like, I always ask, how much do you owe on the house? You'd be surprised. I mean, once in a while, I mean, that sounds like a personal question to me. But when you're in a professional way of doing that, it's not that personal. How much do you owe on the house will help me give you a total net sheet on what you can expect to walk away with. So I would ask them that, what's the process? What's the process you're going to go through to sell your house? That's actually another way of asking, are you interviewing other agents? So I would, and if they don't give me that answer, sometimes I'll ask them boldly, are you interviewing, what's the process you're going through? Are you going to interview agents? I'll ask them. And sometimes they'll say, yeah, I'm interviewing 15. That's a lot of fun. But and sometimes they'll say no. But anything is okay as long as you know. Remember the concept I've always taught you, and I want you to know what you're walking into. Never go into a meeting where you don't know the agenda. And way too many agents show homes without knowing the agenda. Way too many agents stop and they're so excited to get a listing, they run without knowing. So really it's a good process to go through that green sheet a couple of times and ask them those questions. It's also a good process to talk to both to the wife and the husband, you know, separately, which is hard to do, you know, because sometimes the husband's traveling, he's dumped it on the wife. You take care of this. But you're not going to get a listing unless you got both people at the meeting. So you have to make sure that you've got the basic things covered. Both people are going to be there. If what I say makes sense to you when we meet and you think it's a good decision, are you ready to get your house on the market? Ask them the closing questions before you go there. Find out what you're going to. We also send them a little brownie package. We used to do this a lot more to get there because we were setting listings like a week in advance. Now it's tightened up and you got to drop and run. I mean, when you get a chance to go to get a listing, you need to make haste and go to that listing because there's so much competition in that market. The card that comes with the little brownie basically said, just thank you for the opportunity. Have a chance to meet with you and interview for the job of selling your home. It works whether it gets there before you're there or whether you're after there. And it's another touch. We've recently started sending something back to email inquiries that just does a little bit of sales to our team. Not heavy, but basically the first thing it says is thank you for contacting us. You made the right choice. You know, we're giving them some attaboys for making the right choice. So and then I'll tell you this about when you get a new listing, you better call them 3 times in the first week. You've got to solidify that relationship. They've got to know that you're there caring for them. So I told you about the walkthrough, which is the next one. My game, I told you about showing up, paying attention, saying absolutely nothing, be quiet, have a great smile on your face. Then I told you about going back over the green sheet. You sit down after you've gone through the house and after they've shown you the house, you sit down with them and you go back over the notes that you have on the green sheet. This is what I know. Let me go over my notes on what your situation is and what your goals are. So you go back over that green sheet. You're transferring to Augusta. You want to be there by July 1st. You wanted the kids to get out of school before you moved. You know, whatever you know, is that still the situation? Is that still the situation? And then you can go into your whole Mike Ferry thing. And I think you do have to adjust that a little bit in this market. And the thing is, I'm gonna take about 15 minutes, or I'm gonna take about 30 minutes, and I'm gonna show you the process that I recommend for selling this home. If you got that much time, you set the time, you set the agenda, And then you go into that by talking about that you're going to tell them what you recommend. And there is a lot of ways to sell your home. Now, some of the things that I'm going to share with you is some of the things that we're doing. You don't have to do all this. This is just me and my team. You can pick and choose what you want to do out of it. You can leave what you don't want to do out of it. But you know, there's a lot of ways to sell your home. So we're here to help you figure out what's the best way for you to sell your home. The first way that's out there that's all over the news ways right now is the guaranteed sale, the cash offer. Have you thought about doing that? Well, they'd be blind if they didn't think that. This all over neighborhoods, this, that, and the other. And the cash offer and the guaranteed sale has got some advantages. You know, the advantages is you basically, we offer that at EXP, put through a company called Express Offers. OfferPad offers it. Open Door offers it. What I want you to know about the express offers and the guaranteed sale is there's more than one company in town that will sell your home. So if you decide to work with us, what we're going to do is we're going to find that company that will pay you the highest price. And we've actually got those companies to raise their bids to our sellers before. So we've got that done by Zillow. We've also done that by Open Door. So it's just like if you're going to sell a car, and you go to a car lot and that car lot is overrun with cars, they might not pay you as much if you take your car to a lot that needed inventory. And see, that's in the business that we're in. So we're there to shop that offer for you, that guaranteed offer, but we'll do that as your agent, and we'll bring you the highest, if that's what you want, we'll bring you the highest cash offer in town. I don't think that's the way to get your highest price, but it's definitely your option. If speed is your game, if you want to close within 21 days, let us check that out. There's another way that we can sell your house. The second way, I call it, is called a fix up and flip. A fix up and flip basically is what the cash offers, the guaranteed offers are going to do when they buy your house. They're going to put some carpet on it. They're going to put some paint on it. They're going to put it on the market on a higher price. What we're going to do is, if you qualify and if you want to work with us, we're going to do a fix up and flip for you. In other words, we'll come in, we'll decide together what we want to do to put this house in premium condition. We'll put it on the market. We'll finance your fix up, and then you get the profit. Of course, you have to pay us back when it sells. You have to pay us back what we invested for you, but you get the profit instead of a third company getting the profit. So that's another way you can sell your house. You can also sell your house as is. And that really appeals to a lot of people because they don't want to do anything. They don't want to do the first repair. I have owned this home since 1902 and I want to sell it just like it is. So selling your home as is, what we will do for you in that case is we will pay for the inspection up front. We'll provide that inspection. We'll put that inspection out there. We'll let buyers look at it, agents look at it, and then we'll bring you the highest as is price that is on the market. And so I go through a little bit of each one of those. But, you know, then I come to my favorite, which is, you know, I've been in business all my life because I wanted the homeowner to get the equity, the highest equity possible from their house. And I know in my heart that there's only one way to do that. And that's when you do our Coming Soon Homes guarantee. The way you get the attention of every possible buyer in town and every person that will make you an offer is we recommend a 10-day on the short side up to a 30-day coming soon presentation. Now, during that time, and the reason this is so important is because people have a false idea of what MLS will do for them. They think that no matter what, if I put my house, if I get this agent over here that's going to charge me $450, I put my house on the market, it's going to sell. Worse than that, agents think that. You know, the idea that the correct buyer that will pay you the highest price will happen to be on the market this weekend, will happen to look at your house, is just like playing a long shot in a baseball game or a horse race. Once in a while it may happen, but not often, because, you know, I put way too many homes on the market and received a call 10 days later, oh man, my buyer would have paid, you know, so much more money for that house. I'm so sorry. If anything happens to that, let me know. So I think you've got to have time to warm up the crowd. the way a main band does. The main band that's there, it doesn't come on until 9 o'clock. It sends out 4 bands to begin with. They warm up the crowd. And then when you step on stage, you've got the attention of everybody. And that's what we do in ComingSoonHomes. You can't shortcut. There's no shortcut. Market Spain can talk all he wants to about bypassing the market, but the way to get your highest price for a home is to get the attention of every buyer that will make you an offer. And there's no way to do that unless you basically hold the listing back so that you can saturate the market. See, instead of being on social media maybe 5 times or even 10 times that month, you're on social media 20 times telling the market. And you got those agents calling you and say, I want to see it first. Will you open it early? You know, you've got all of that energy and you're taking the best sellers market that we've had in my lifetime. Thomas, is this the best sellers market in my lifetime? And you want to waste that? You don't waste that opportunity. As a seller, I want you to have the power in this market. And that's what we've devised in ComingSoonHomes Guarantee. So that's really, really important to us. Then you can go by, we have to set a price. You know, in this market, there's only about 15% of the houses that are going to sell cash. And those houses, even those agents sometimes will recommend that their buyer get an appraisal. So the truth is we've got to set a price, and I'm going to do that with you right now. And probably before I got to setting a price, I would ask them which one of my 4 ways appeal to them. I said, which way appeals to you? You want to look for the best guaranteed offer, the best cash one? You know that's going to be a little bit lower than market. You want me to find you the best one in town? We can also do that. Another thing we can do on that is we can look for the best guaranteed offer. We could determine what that is. We can also go on the market. The guaranteed offers are good for only a limited time, so we've got that to worry about. But you have to be in a position to have an executed listing so that you can represent them through those. If they go to you and jump the gun and go to those guys before you get there, you've lost your power on that. So we set a price. We set the price the same way we always have. We look at what's sold. Somebody was telling me recently that what was sold in our market six months ago is not even relative to what is selling now. It's what's selling in the last 3 months is like relative because our prices are going up so fast. So, but we do that. We can also look at our what's contingent, what's due diligence, what's happened right then. Once in a while, you can get them to tell you what that price is. You need to find that out. And of course, you're looking for a comparable location. You're looking for a comparable age. You're looking for a comparable floor plan and a comparable size. All those things you know how to do. So, but you know, here's the difference. And I'm going to tell you the difference. In the market that I was in 10 years ago, I could tell you need to list your house at this price. They would listen to me. In this market, here are the comparables. What do you think your house should be listed for? If you were the buyer, what would you pay for your house, knowing this was there? Well, I don't know about all that, but my house is worth $500,000. You know, and you let them do that. And I tell you, if you're ever going to take an overpriced listing, if you're ever going to do something stupid, like a really overpriced listing, this is the time to do it. So, and well, I don't see any of the comps that really go that, but what I'll do is I'll monitor these things that have gone under contract. And we'll be watching for every single one because the market's going up so fast, you almost can't even judge it. So I would let them have more leeway in pricing the house than I ever have before. If you're ever going to take a chance, this is the market to take it in. However, this market is not going to stay the same forever. How many of you know for sure that real estate markets change? And it feels like they're going to stay forever. This has been the longest seller's market I have ever been in, the longest one, but it won't stay the same forever. And the question is what are you going to do with this market? How are you going to use this advantage in this market? So you can talk to them a little bit about why days on the market. I go over days on the market is, you know, houses right now are selling in hours, not days. So I go over that long days on the market is not a good sign. People look at it. Everything follows you on the internet. You know, if anything ever happened to you, they can find it on the internet. So you didn't sell your house last year or 2 years ago. the first thing they ask is, what's wrong with your house? That's what a buyer is thinking. So having a missed shot, a misfire, an expired listing is not a good thing. It's not a good reputation because your reputation is online. The other thing is there is a honeymoon period. There's a honeymoon period and it's gotten shorter. Honeymoon period used to be, if the house is on the market less than 30 days, it's still a pretty hot new listing. Now they're wondering what in the world's wrong with that listing. It's been on the market for 30 days. I don't know how rational that is, but then you can talk about reset. We reset markets, but so then you go back into the close. You know, there's a lot of ways to sell your home, but there's only one way to really get you the highest price. Is the highest price your goal? And in this kind of market, with all the cards in your favor, it's really a shame to get in a hurry and leave money on the table, isn't it? It really, really is. So that's the reason we recommend Coming Soon Homes. We go into that it's not just a sign writer. You know, buyers are online looking for homes to buy. And they're online, and when they go to Zillow, they're going to see homes that show that they're actively listed. And guess what? Those homes are actually under contract. So when they call on them, they're already gone. But when you go to Coming Soon Homes, you're actually going to see the homes that are being prepared for market. So it gives you the edge to be able to set yourself up to drive by that. So it's actually online. And what we do is we prepare an online presentation that includes, sadly to say, it begins with photographs from somebody's cell phone of the real positive things. In a house that we're going to do staging for, we're not going to do complete photos until we've got the staging done, and then we'll do the professional shots. But we do have to have enough that will interest them. So take a picture of course, the outside, if you can get that, the backyard, if it's tremendous, something that piques their interest. You got to have a little bit of curiosity. You got to flirt a little bit, don't you? I mean, that's what they told me. But talk about their timeline again. What was the other thing I was going to tell you about that? Oh, the people that come to Coming Soon Homes actually can favor your home. If they like your neighborhood, they like your price range, they favor your home. If they favor your home, they're going to get an update anytime something has changed. When you add pictures, when you add a floor plan, when you do this, when you add any information, they're going to get that little tap. And then they'll know to come to the first open house. And we do believe in that first weekend, that first open house, because we've actually sold so many houses at that first open house that it's worthwhile to do. So that's another reason that Coming Soon Homes really helps that seller to get their top price. Another thing about Coming Soon Homes is it will notify the sellers when they've had a certain number of showings on their home. It notifies them when they've had 100 showings. You know, you can tell when a house is quite hot by the number of people that have gone on to see it. So they get a notice at 100, they get a notice at some other things, get a notice at 1,000. We've had 1,000 people look at your home in this last 30 days. So we know there's going to be a great reception to it. Now that's not only good for your seller, because as soon as you walk out the door, the seller is beginning to think, oh man, I'm paying that one a lot of money. I'm paying so much money. I'm just not sure Marty's worth that much money. They think that the second you start walking out the door. So you have to prove your value from the minute that you walk out the door. You do that by those 3 calls the first week. But you also, Coming Soon Homes will help you with that because they give them notification that people have been online looking at their home. Another way it can help you is when you have those agents calling you, you take a snapshot of how many times that home is being shown. And you send it to them. Yes, we're going to open this home Saturday at 11 o'clock. And they show it to their buyer. And they say, man, they've already had 400 people look at this house. Oh, we better go ready. Have you got your check? You've got a cashier's check? How much money do you have? It's a bidding war. It's a bidding war. So we talk about that. We talk a little bit about the open house. We talk about going active. And then I close them out with why to sell my team. And you should close them out with your credentials on why they should work with your team. And one of the greatest things that you can do for your credentials and ours are different, but you know, we've all got reviews. You can give them your reviews. This is what, and it's really nice to have a review from somebody that's close to the house that you're selling. That's a great thing to have, and almost everybody can have that. If you're a brand new agent starting out, what I would go for is the company's homes that they have sold that are close. Listen, our company has sold this many homes in your neighborhood, and that's a great credential to have. So I hope you are excited about listings. I hope I've conveyed something to you about the possibility and how much you can build your business by being focused on listings. And now I've got 20 minutes and I can open it up for questions. Do you have any questions? Y'all got it down pat.
Marty, how long do you try to keep it under an hour?
Yeah, I do. But you know, some of my competitors, I know for sure, will say they're all day long until they get that listing. I mean, literally hours.
I know who the person is.
Yeah, we won't say any names, but it's funny.
There are two. Oh, sorry.
Oh, 2 or 3. Yeah. But another thing funny is that I actually sent out an email to all EXP probably about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, because somebody was walking through a neighborhood in North Hills and they were knocking on doors. And they happened to knock on a door from a homeowner that got extremely mad at them. Now, this homeowner picked up the phone and called me. He said, "You got your agents out here?" I said, "Look, I know none of my agents are out there." But I sent out an email to EXP. So I thought, well, maybe it's somebody from EXP that has said they're with the Marti Hampton team. They got a hold of a really mad seller and they said, "Oh, I work with Marti Hampton." Well, it turned out to be one of my competitors. This guy went out and got in his car, took a picture of them. We traced them down. So the moral of this story is, you know, take the hit yourself. Don't blame it on somebody else. But that was kind of fun. But any other questions? Yes.
Do you find that sending out mailers to just random homes saying, "Hey, you've fallen out of love with your home, now is a great time to sell"? Do you feel like you're getting a good return for appointments on these mailers?
Hey, I know the stats on those. I mean, they've been around ever since I've been in real estate, which has been a really long time. The stats on those are 2 or 3%. The most beneficial thing you can do is pick up the phone. I think it's more beneficial than knocking on the door, although I have knocked on doors and I have gone through neighborhoods. But through a neighborhood, now, even if you haven't sold a house, you can pick up a home that's sold by somebody in your company.
I have a question for you, John. It's not going to be a popular question, but I see a lot of pressure on real estate commission just because the market is so crazy. And I see when I go to do a presentation, there are people coming in with commissions, and
Yes.
especially how can you stay in business? Do you see the same is heading that way? You think it's just temporarily? And I think the times will come back to what normal should be.
Well, yeah,
normal marketing and everything else.
yeah, normal inventory is 6 months. We don't have 6 months worth of inventory now. But here's the thing, selling your home, Isaac, is not the problem. I can sell it this weekend if you want to put the sign up. And another thing we need to do is put up an immediate coming soon sign and then call the neighborhood. If you want to drastically increase your listings, you put up an immediate sign. We use a smaller sign and said, "I'm going to start working on this right now, Mr. Seller. I'm going to call the neighborhood and see who wants to come to this wonderful neighborhood and be your neighbor. Do you happen to know anybody that wants to be here?" But my point is, you mark the territory and then you say, selling the home this weekend's not a problem. I can get you 50 agents in here, they'll do it. Selling your home for the highest price is the issue. And you know, it's a lot easier for me to put the sign in the ground, have it sold by Monday, than it is to work the 17 offers that I worked on the house I sold last weekend. That actually requires more work for me. Another thing that requires, I don't know how to say this really tactfully, but the agent that wants to do that wants the check more than they want to sell your home for the highest amount of money. I'm in business to sell your home for the highest amount of money. I'm not going to squander the best market that we've had in 30-something years. Yes.
2 questions. Number 1, how do you do the financing for properties that want to fix up and flip?
Well, I decide it's a personal decision. It comes out of my personal money. And if one of my agents says it's a good deal, I'm going to consider it. If they mess up on those figures, I'm going to pay for it dearly. So it's a personal decision.
Second question is, how do you overcome commission objections?
Right, but just what I told you, selling your house is not the issue. It's the agent that's gonna work the market to get you the most out of this house. And you know, selling your house is not the price is not the only thing. You might take $2,000 less if it was a cash offer, because there's absolutely no risk. You might take a lower offer, a little bit lower offer if there was no repairs, if there was the people waived the inspection. You might take one if they waived the appraisal. There's so many things happening out there. It's not a matter of selling your house, you know, but it's a matter of getting the highest price.
So Marti, I've been seeing a lot of like homes that are going, like they are getting sold, but sight unseen. So is it a good like way to approach the sellers with this thing, especially when we're using ComingSoonHomes?
Well, we have gotten offers in while we've had homes in the coming soon stage. And my advice to the seller has always been, you know, we can do that. And sometimes they you know, they've done it. If the person waived the inspection, if the person came in, for certain people, I think we've had an elderly couple recently that it was just worth it to them to do that, not go through the staging and everything like that. But what I usually advise the seller to do, I said, okay, I know these people have pressed our game here, but I don't want you to sell thinking this is the only option. So if we're going to show this person, if we've got something so attractive here, we open the door for one person, we open the door for all people. Even my own agents don't have an edge on a coming soon listing. So I don't know if that answered your question, Ronna, but you can make an offer on a house that's in coming soon status, not only mine, but somebody else's. And you got people coming in from California and New York that are doing just exactly that. Any other questions? Y'all got this down pat now?
Are you doing paperwork on your first visit?
That is a great question. That's a great question. And I still have to fight my listing agents because they don't like to do paperwork. Let me tell you, the best thing can happen is you get a lot of paperwork done beforehand.
I mean, are you saying, okay, think about it, bye? and
Heck,
I'll come
no,
back?
not me, not me. Now, there's sometimes.
I don't want to do that either. I'm asking you what, like.
Sometimes you have to do that, but if you've made those calls up front, if you really know what you're walking into, you can do that close before you get there. When I get there, I'm gonna give you the very best ways. I'm gonna give you 4 different options to choose from. You can decide to sell your home. You can decide which option is best for you. But if what I say makes sense and it sounds like a sound business decision for you, are you ready to go ahead and let me get started selling the home? That's a close. And you can do that before you get there. And close often.
We fill out all the paperwork, the listing, everything, and take it with us, and we like them all.
So are you doing
It's signed
disclosures
paperwork.
before you get there?
Say again?
You ask them all the disclosure questions before you get there?
No, you can't fill out a disclosure for a principal. You're not supposed to. I know people have done it, but you're not supposed to. I like to, if possible, you can send that disclosure up front. You're gonna have to have this document signed no matter who you sell the house with. So why not go ahead and do that?
Yeah, have them do their research before
Yeah.
you get there,
Yeah.
so they know what kind of price they
Yeah,
have.
but a lot of times you're gonna have to sit there and wait. And my advice is if you leave the house without having the signed paperwork, your percentage of getting that listing just goes in half or less.
Yeah.
So get the paperwork. I do really fast.
And then I have another question, sorry. I love this bringing in the Zillows and the open
Yeah.
doors for
Yeah,
elderly or
absolutely.
whoever was on deal.
Yeah.
I actually have somebody who, in mind, I'm just like super excited about. It's like,
good.
no sign was in the yard at that point, right? You're just.
No signs in the yard, but if you've done it correctly and you do it textbook by my style, you get the paperwork signed, you've got a portable, it's a small coming soon sign. Immediately you mark your territory out, you walk out the door. I'm gonna put a quick sign up. The regular sign will be here in the next 24, 48, 72 hours.
But if you're doing the cash guarantee, the Zillows, the open doors.
Still put the
you're
coming
doing
soon.
all. Okay.
You know, what's happened in this market is that you're not getting the calls that you did when we had a more normal market. You're not getting the calls from the buyers. You're getting your calls from desperate buyers, I know. But frankly, the numbers are down on the number of calls that you're getting from buyers. And it's direct because we're not holding the listings long enough.
So for the person who doesn't want people to come in their home, or they're not
Great.
wanting to go through their stack of stuff everywhere, and that's why they want Zillow to come in, are you letting our buyers coming in anyway, just because of the sign?
No buyers come in
Okay,
during the
okay.
coming soon sign. The stager comes in.
No, yeah, but but you're saying you're putting a for sale sign up.
It's a coming soon home sign that takes them to the website, ComingSoonHomes.com.
Mhm.
The coming soon home site, it's not a writer. It's actually a website.
Right.
I'll go get one.
Okay. And just marking your territory and making those calls to the neighborhood
Yeah.
is extremely valuable. And then making those calls again, once you got that house sold, you'll get 2 or 3 other listings out of that same neighborhood. One listing should equate to at least 2 other sales.
Okay. But
What?
if they chose to go down the Zillow route.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
When
that's
we
what
do that during the coming soon period, then I gotta have the 30 days, because it's gonna take 30 days to get all those offers. Do you understand, for example, that those guys want a picture of, what is it, a hot water heater, they want a picture of the electrical thing, they want, and we know that. So we basically are including that in, when we send our photographer out, we're including those things that they want in there. And honestly, one of the lines that you can use is, do you want me to contact everybody that will make you an offer on this house? And that covers you, because then you can contact the Zillow, the Open Door. You can have that in your file. You can know that information. So if they get really, this is just the immediate one that we put up. It's got the little things here.
Yep.
Put it up. That does it. What else?
What have you found is the most effective response you have when they say, well, thanks so much for wanting to take tonight and talk about it, and then we'll get back to you?
It's a tough one. Well, that's the reason I asked that question before I get there. Is if we make a good decision, are you ready to do business? And so if you have to leave it, you have to leave it. This one right here is a queen for leaving it and getting the listing. Marti Hampton wasn't quite as good. I got the listing while I was there.
I have heard it a million times, and I say I apologize. Was there anything that I haven't covered? What is the question that is holding
Absolutely.
you back?
And what are you going to do?
Because I usually not ready, therefore I haven't covered something like, okay, what is it? And I just pull out my listing paperwork and I say,
Yeah.
by the way, after I cover it, I guess we're gonna be good.
Right.
And then the answer.
Right. Right. I mean, that's a great way to end it too. If I covered everything, do you feel like you have everything from me to make a decision? What are your concerns? What's your number one fear? What's your number one anxiety about me being able to get your family to Augusta by July 1st? If you go back to their motivation a lot of times and sell them their motivation, you can get them to sign. But it's something that happens. But what else? What do you do?
I'll try and close them right away, always. But if they ask that question, I'll say, well, 3 minds think better than 2. What haven't I covered?
That's a great one.
Let's talk about it.
3 minds think better than 2. I like that.
And then if they really insist, no, this is what we do, we have to sleep on it or pray on it or whatever the excuse is, I will say, just promise me one thing. Before you make your final decision, please call me.
Yeah.
And they do.
And I know I've told you this story before, but I want to say it again because I want to hear it. I was in an extremely good mood one day. I was driving. I was going to a listing point. That must have been that month. I got 42 listings, and I was happy. I was singing. The songs would come on the radio, and I was going. And so I went to this guy's house, and this guy was not in a good mood. He had just gotten a divorce, and or he was separated or something. And his level, he was down here, and he wasn't outwardly mean, but he was mean. He was mad, and I just couldn't come down. You're supposed to mirror and match your people. I do know that much about sales, but I just couldn't get that low. I was in a good mood. And so he said that. He said, well, I'm going to have to pray about it. So I really did this. I said, let us pray. And I looked up and he wasn't laughing and he wasn't praying. So, but anyway, so that was I didn't get that listing. But I had a lot of fun because I left and then I got in the car and then a song came on the radio that I really knew. And I don't sing anywhere except by myself in a car. I turned that thing up loud and man, I was driving down, I looked in my rear view mirror and I was on the belt line. There was a lot of cars and they were all moving over. I thought, why they're all moving over. So next thing I know, a policeman has pulled me for speeding because of course I was speeding. So that's what happens when you're really in a good mood. So anyway, this is yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to address the market meeting.
Yes.
And so you're putting out a listing, you're coming up with a really good price together and you sign for coming soon for 30 days. Do you have another script or a conversation with them that you're gonna reevaluate that right before it goes live?
You could, if you really think you've overpriced the house.
Well, I went in the opposite direction, actually, just because prices are increasing so much lately that, there could be another close comp that, just makes you swing it a little bit higher. So
Well,
I
I'm
didn't
really,
know that the
yeah.
common script is whatever, check
You
in
could do
the
that.
day before or whatever it is.
You could do that, but I think the buildup for the multiple offers, because we're getting on our coming soon listing, we're getting, I don't know what percentage, but it's a very high percentage of multiple offers. Multiple offers will go over list price. You don't have to even raise the price. And actually, sometimes you're better not to raise the price because you got more bids.
Yeah, just like, question
Which is
about
good.
that strategy, just from our coming to appraisers. The way that it looks, then I just have noticed that there's been some that seem to be underlisted. And so, it looks worse in my opinion from an appraiser standpoint when something might go $30,000 or $40,000 over versus if it was listed higher at like maybe 5 or 10 over. So, just trying to figure out how to.
I'm figuring out appraisals. I don't know that I can help you with that, but they have guidelines that they have to go to. We used to be able to call up appraisers. When Sharon and I first started this business, we would call up appraisers and say, hey, here, you forgot this. Right, Sharon?
If I may try to
Yes.
for 1 second. I also educate appraisers, you cannot tell them what value they should appraise it. You can give them all information that you don't have. So I usually don't have that problem. With the right, very, very nice thing, with all the details, with the market data and everything, not just good. Just explain to them why we actually get a little bit of what my strategy behind pricing that normally works out.
Yeah. That helps for a listing agent too, because the listing agent doesn't want to be the bearer of bad news. But if you've got a great letter from a competent agent that says, hey, this, and this, that helps the agent with the other side of the deal. So I appreciate that. I love working with Thomas when you do that. Listen, thank y'all for coming today. I got food coming. Please stick around here. I want to talk to you. Any more last questions? I got 2 minutes. That's it.
One last question. Does marketing the home differ at all between the express offer?
Marketing the home differ at all? No, during the coming soon period, I'm still going to market it because there's going to be something. I mean, before that seller signs off on an express offer, I'm going to have some data there. I'm going to say, hey, 419 people have looked at your home. 20 people have favored your home and are going to be here when we open that first weekend. They favored your home at this price, and the express offer is a lot less than this price. So I'd have the data to back up that conversation. Thank y'all so much for coming. Thank you. I've got food coming, so y'all don't leave if you're hungry.